look at how we're going to simplify algebraic expressions. And this is something that we've covered in the normal part of the school year, back when we were in the brick and mortar building. But what I want to do is I just want to go through just a couple problems with you guys. Instead of giving you a big PowerPoint or anything like that, I figured a video would suffice. So let's talk real quick about the format of some of these problems. So we have a standard expression here. It's going to be 3q, and we're going to say plus 2 minus 7p. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the format of this problem, right? So there's some vocabulary we need to discuss. First of all, let's talk about terms. Terms are just simply parts of the expression. So in this particular expression, 3q is a term. We can also say that 2 is a term, and so is 7p. And we decide that they're terms because they're separated by plus signs or minus signs. Now, the other thing that we want to talk about, and I should probably make that a negative 7p because it's negative. Almost caught myself in a mistake there. Hopefully you guys were catching that, and I know a bunch of you would have had your hands up if we were in class. But if we wanted to talk about another term, let's talk about coefficients. Coefficients are just the numbers that are in front of a variable. So we have two variables in this expression. We have q and we have p. So the number in front of q is 3, so we have a coefficient of 3, and the p has a coefficient of negative 7. Okay, so just a couple of little things that we want to talk about. And then there's this lonely little number here, all right, this 2. And the 2 is called a constant. We can call that a constant because it's never going to change. It doesn't have a variable to make it change. So as a result, we call those constants. All right. So now let's talk about how to simplify expressions. If we were to look at this particular expression, we would look for like terms. Now, a like term is a term that has the same variable or has no variable at all, but there would be more than one. So in this expression, we have one term that has a q, one term that's a constant, and one term that has a p, but none of them can match up. So for like terms, for this particular example, we would say none. So let's go to a different example. Let's take the expression of 13c minus 7 plus c minus d. All right. Now, we're going to go through this here real quick. So let's talk about terms. The terms would be 13c, negative 7, c, and negative d. For coefficients, I'm going to abbreviate here. We would just have the 13 because that's the number in front of c. Now, what about in front of this c? Is there a coefficient? You guessed it. There's a coefficient there of a 1. And in front of the d, we could say it has a coefficient of a negative 1. Okay, now they're not visible. We don't usually write those because mathematicians are normally lazy, but they are still there. All right, there is a constant. And the constant in this example would be the negative 7. And let's talk about like terms. Are there any like terms? That's right, 13c and 1c. Now this is actually what's going to help us as we go ahead to simplify. So when we want to simplify, we're going to look for like terms. So in this case, I have 13c and 1c. So if I have 13 c's here and 1 c here, I will have 14 c's. 7 doesn't have anything because it's a constant. There's no other constants, so it would be minus 7 and then minus d because the d doesn't have a term to combine with. Now, if we wanted to get into something a little bit more complex, let's take this example. Now, we're not going to go through everything. We're going to talk about the simplifying part here. So we have 5 times the quantity of r plus 9, and we're going to reduce that by 5. And all I want to do is I want to simplify this expression. So in order to do that, I have to get rid of these parentheses. Now remember, in order to get rid of the parentheses, we want to use the distributive property. So we're going to distribute the 5. To distribute the 5, we're going to multiply it by the first term. And 5 times r is 5r. Then we're going to multiply it by the second term. 5 times positive 9 is positive 45. And then this negative 5 is just going to drop down. Now, when we want to combine our like terms, the 5r has nothing to combine with. However, 45 and negative 5 would equal positive 40. So there's a little bit of a review for how we would go ahead and simplify expressions with a little bit of a review of what the different terms are. I hope this helps you guys out. Hopefully everybody's still staying safe, and we'll see you soon.